Yeah. 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 What's going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of Rivercity 93. I'm your host, as always, Elliot Barr. And this is going to be a happy podcast because why? The Kickers won 3-1, taking AV Alta to the dumps. We won't talk about what happened Wednesday. That doesn't matter. That cup doesn't matter because not every team plays in it. So why should we care about it? That's excluded the point. Agreeing with me is Kate. How are you doing, homie?
I'm doing much better than I was on Thursday, a day after the last Kickers game we watched at City Stadium. We went from a 1-3 result to a 3-1 result. So I'll take that turnaround.
There you go. The power of turning it around. Also joining us is the guy that had to stress watch Maryland. Matt, how are you doing, sir?
I mean, who doesn't love tournament time? God save the Queen, baby. Dare Queen. Let's go.
Matt, how many emotions did you go through in those last 5 to 10 seconds?
Oh, anybody who's a real Maryland fan knew that Colorado State was going to hit that 3 when they hit it because we're all broken. Just from years and years and years of, abuse. I'm not even going to get into all of it. Except, they're nice enough to show, at least 3 of the buzzer beaters that we've already lost to this year. Rightful retribution. Nobody cares about Colorado State and Fort Collins. We already got rid of those losers in the soccer league I watch. Noco. Get the hell out of town too, Colorado State. Nobody likes you. Nobody cares about you. You're irrelevant. That's why you're not in the tournament anymore. Bye-bye.
That's right. I forgot they did play there. In one point.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah.
Colorado
State's NIL probably actually pays out on like Northern Colorado Hailstorm.
This is true. Yeah, I remember the NCAA tournament was on, and I was hate watching 2 games. To all you VCU fans, suck it. You deserve it. You deserve no happiness. Yes, you won the A-10. That's fine. I'm glad you lost. Also, Norfolk State, you got what you deserve. I say this as a proud Virginia State alum. Joining us, the guy with the clear microphone. I'll let you hear it because, we the raise funds on this podcast to get to this moment. We have recorded 250 episodes to get to this point. It is Shanir. How are you doing, my good man?
I'm doing good. I just got one thing to say. That's the type of response that I want to see from my kickers.
I thought I was going to hop in there and be like, that is kind of response. 3.6 seconds left on the clock. Give it to your lottery pick freshman. Buckets. That is the response we need.
Oh, man. Oh, yo. This time it's always this time of year when you get like the best sports stories about everything. Like you get fans crashing out about like the littlest inconvenience, everything in between. You get teams going on surprise runs, you get upsets. I feel like the Kickers have gone through this in the past 72 hours or whatnot.
I don't know what you're talking about. Sports start on Friday.
You're right. Look, hey, we could just take the Kickers' approach to it and how they were just marketing this as the home opener. Yeah, we'll just keep it like that. We'll just keep it like that. But before we get started, I want to ask you guys a question. So, at the tailgate, we were supposed to play Uno, but I got there a little bit too late. We couldn't, start playing Uno. How do you guys play Uno? Like, do you guys believe that if I put a draw 4 out, I can then... Like, if I put the draw 4 out, I can then put a color card out. Or I can put like a skip, draw 2, draw 4, draw 2. Can I do that?
Wait, so you're saying like if you play a draw 4 and Kate's up next, can she play like any random thing like that? Or
yeah, like so I put up a draw 4.
Yeah.
Kate can then put out a draw 4. Or if I put out She can do that. Okay,
It
can I
depends-
do?
It depends on what color you call, which you draw 4.
See,
Because the draw 4 is a wild. So you got to
it's a
call
draw
a color when you
4.
put that draw 4. Yeah, but you got to call a color though.
Okay, I call red, but she can still put out a draw 4, right?
Yeah. You can always put out a draw 4.
Put out a draw 4 because it's a wild, but she can't put out a draw 2 if it's a blue draw 2.
Okay, yes, that's fair. Now, can you all right, if I want Uno, right, and my last card is a draw 2 or a draw 4, can I play that card?
To close out the win, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's just good strategy to be able to hold a wild or a draw 4 till the end, because then nothing can hurt you.
Exactly. See, this is what my wife different about.
You get
See
rid
me
of it
like
or
I'm
not,
cheating.
whether
Yeah.
Who said you were
See-
cheating?
My wife, she thinks that I be cheating at Uno, which I don't cheat. I just win strategically. I will show my methods at the tailgate when the next week because of the Henry Derby. But that's just we'll talk about it when we get there.
You have to come to the tailgate to get in on this conversation. You have thoughts, you have opinions. This is not an online discussion. You have to show up on Saturday.
Yeah.
Tell us in person.
Yeah. This is going to be fun. Let's start off with the positives. We're leading into the positives. We got a 3-1 win. We're leading into the positives. Players who stood out to you. Kate, let's start with you. Who stood out to you these last 2 games? Someone that stood out did well to you.
Okay, this is a little bit limited because I refuse to rewatch any. The only highlights of the Open Cup game were a 20-minute, that's the whole game at that point. So I'm not rewatching that. Sorry to everyone who wanted incisive analysis on that. And this one we were a little bit, we had a lot going on emotionally. One player who stood out was Josh Kirkland because we signed him to be an Energizer Bunny. And I really feel like we saw his Energizer Bunny tendencies a lot in these last 2 games. He pretty much never stopped running, literally running, not even metaphorically moving, literally running for the entire time that he was on the field. That's why we signed him, was legs, energy, put the pressure on, disrupt, cause chaos. And, did it come off too well against Virginia Dream? No. But that's because that's the energy Virginia Dream was bringing, was Energizer Bunny. So he was kind of just meeting them where they were. But I think it really, he subbed on in the mid 60s for Bulldog against Alta. And that's really what the match needed. He's actually raised the intensity rather than lowering it. And I think that really helped in terms of keeping the pressure on until the very last second and ensuring the win.
You know what I like about Kirkland is he is into getting the crowd into the game, right? How many times does he, ball go out for a throw and he's just like, "Come on, let's go." Go.
He told a ball kid to slow down when the ball kid was throwing the ball back to the player. Yes. He told the ball kid to slow it down. Don't give it to them so quickly next time.
Yeah.
That was funny. No, Kirkland. Actually, I found out his nickname was Kirky, but he is like a player that is going to very quickly become like a crowd favorite just because of the energy he brings out. It's like, I don't know, it's like this infectious energy. It over reminds me of Luke Pavone-ish levels of infectious energy, where Luke would do anything and we would just be like, yeah, we like it. Matt, any player that stood out to you these last 2 games?
Kirkland's a good one when he's on the wing. I'm not a huge fan of him, in the center forward Emmy spot yet. The other guy's been on the right wing. Matt Bolduc's been far better than I thought he was going to be. Coming back, to us. Full honesty, I thought he was going to be a practice player who might get some garbage time, minutes. And he's forced his way into the lineup. And it's not just a lot of running. He's willing to do that. He's willing to put in the energy for it. But he's actually been incisive with some of his passes, going at defenders as well, and especially in that one game that may or may not have happened like he was one of the only guys that looked like that is actually like really putting the effort in out there.
Yeah.
So he's one. The other one, Chandler, not because of the usual Chandler stuff, but what's I've noticed in especially the two league games that uh, I've been able to see him in person is he seems to have developed a lot more confidence with his left peg of just shooting it, and he's developing a bit of a missile, on there. Like, and we saw it. He scored with his left, the first game of the season at Tormenta, but like even on Saturday, there were a couple times where he stroked the ball, didn't perfectly work out, uh, but I think there's probably a couple more coming, like that this season for him.
Yeah.
And we
No.
did not see that out of him in previous seasons.
No. I think Chandler signed with us. What his first season was 2021, right?
22.
22. Yeah, to see how he's grown as a player from there to now, like being a guy that was in and out of the squad, we weren't full transparency moment. Like I wasn't even sure about him in 2022. I was like, he might be gone. To see where he is now, hey, that is full blown like growth. Shanir, I know you was up there in Minnesota, so you had a different view to all three of us. You're watching these games a totally different time zone. Is there any player for you in these last two games that has stood out to you that you'd be like, hey, like I see the growth in them?
I was gonna say Chandler because, like you said, Matt, he's shown us a different side of his game. Um, this so far this season. Um, Another one is that stood out to me is over the past couple of games is Emmy. I feel like last year, I don't know if it was due to the injury, but he really was a complete shadow of himself last year. And it's like he's starting off this year like he started off his MVP Golden Boot winning year. He's putting the goals in. He's taking opportunities. We'll talk about his two goals later, but he's becoming that Emmy that we know, the Golden Boot MVP Emmy.
Yeah. No, he's getting back to form, especially with that Chip. We'll talk about that.
Chip the keeper.
We'll talk about that. Moments of concern. We're not going to say negative. We're pulling away from negative. We're not doing negative podcasts. We're going to say moments of concern. Any moments of concerns for you guys or players that you're like, I don't know about.
I mean,
I wouldn't say players,
go ahead, Chenier.
but I'm sorry. I wouldn't say players, but in general, I'm a little bit concerned about the way things are going with our backline. I'd kind of voiced this a little bit in the first game, the one we won 4-2. There's a little bit of I don't know a rush to throw yourself full into every challenge with almost all four of our back four, and that's what cost us, the PK in that first game. That's what cost us a lot of situations where we're losing the ball, and then also I'm not sure if they're clicking completely yet. If they're completely switched on, completely in routine. With the goal that we let in this yesterday, that I saw a lot of slowness in their movement, and that slowness is what kind of threw Snedden under the bus for that goal. So I don't know. I just because the first thing I saw when I saw that goal was, ooh, he really let that go. Then I rewatched it and I said, wait a minute. The first thing you teach your center backs is when you pass it back to the goalie, drop deep and wide quickly so that he immediately has an emergency option. And both Keller and Garnett were very slow to open up for Snedden on that, which forced him to have to take that extra touch. So those are the two things that have been concerning me the most. Other than that, I think, apart from Wednesday, we're not going to talk about Wednesday. Um, I think the rest of the team has really been clicking. They've been showing a lot of variety in the way they're attacking. They've been showing a lot of energy in the way they're attacking. We talked about Kirkland. Just once he gets on that field, I hate to be in the 70-something minute and have to deal with him running around circles as a defender for the other team. And that's the type of stuff we need. And I mean, Barneson has been solid as a 6. But again, that back line, if they can sharpen it up a little bit, be a little sharper, I think our back line will be a lot safer.
Yeah. Kate, what about you?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking along similar lines, but I think one of the also things we've seen a little bit is sometimes the center backs look a little out of ideas when they're on the ball. I think Maxi can get the ball forward and Simon can get the ball forward. But sometimes it doesn't feel like I've seen a couple instances where the center backs are on the ball and they're just kind of aimlessly passing back and forth between them and Sneddon. Sometimes I feel like there's, I suppose that's what Barnathan has stepped up into the midfield to provide an outlet for, get the ball to him and he'll do something with it. But I think sometimes when they're under more considerable pressure, the center backs do not quite have the range to move the ball to a more attacking position. There were a couple long balls, especially against Dream. Guy was putting a couple decent long balls forward. He was having a really, really tough time shaking off the jitters after conceding that penalty. And kind of where he channeled that was putting the ball long. And a couple of those actually did look pretty good. I don't think we've seen that super often from our center backs, but sometimes there were just a couple passing sequences where it was just passing back between, Sneddon, Chella, Griffin, Guy, whoever is back there, and not looking like any of them were super confident. Sometimes they would, sometimes they'd pick a longer pass, but sometimes it felt like it got a little trapped back there, especially if Maxi and Simon were providing like a forward-looking option.
Yeah, true. Matt, what about you, my good man?
Some similar, sort of things. Like obviously, so I'm pretty sure it's last podcast. We were talking about how one of the nice things is the team isn't giving up fouls like outside the box for dangerous free kicks. No, these idiots are out there giving up penalties left and right for no good reason whatsoever. Chella's penalty he gave against Tremento, stupid. I have no idea what he was doing. Trying to track that ball and then just deciding to tackle the guy on the side of the box. Right there. It's like, come on, man. Like, let's be real. There's a reason he got pulled at halftime. It wasn't because it was planned substitution. It was because he was bad in that first half against a we'll be nice to call them semi-pro team, right?
Well organized is always the verb that gets used, or the adjective that gets used.
Yeah. They had a month to practice.
There's nothing else to speak of. They were well organized.
I won't lie though. There was a moment I was sitting up in the press box, and when the team comes out, because we had no idea who this Virginia team was, and I'm going through the football and I'm looking at it like, he played for the Bobcats. He played for the Bobcats. He played for Loudoun United. And I was just like, oh, Richmond gonna be in some trouble.
This team in the bad times last year dog walked the Bobcats last year.
Yeah.
Right? And we took their best player off that team. That's not an excuse. Like, oh no, they used to be pro players, so it's really a tough game. They used to be pro players. You know what? Keyword there's used to.
Well,
nobody wanted any of those guys.
Well, also that team got disintegrated by Nisa, but that's a whole different story.
And by their own admission, they're a fashion-focused brand rather than a football club. So.
Hey, ain't gonna lie, them jerseys are heat though. Ain't gonna. Not gonna hold
exactly, Chenier. Chenier's making an extremely disgusted face if you're not watching on YouTube, and he is entirely correct.
Yeah.
And also, Joe Wright stood on his head. Like that's the thing.
No, he didn't. What good save did he make?
He made like 3 on the line. Like Guy's header was on the line. There was 2 in the second half that was
He's
on the line.
He's a goalkeeper. He's going to make a save on the line.
I'm just saying.
If it's right
anyone else, those goes in. I was just like, well,
Most of those were right at him. I'm gonna have to agree with Matt. Most of those were right at him. We made him look like Tim Howard. That doesn't mean he
Didn't
is
make
as
him look
good as
like Tim
Tim
Howard
Howard.
even. He looked like a random guy because that's what he is. He gets hyped up because of like what one game here or something, and somehow all the people in the U.S. blogosphere or whatever think he's awesome. There's a reason he goes from team to team every year, and as a backup. It's because he's not that good.
Well, now he's a retired project manager and knocked the Kickers out the cup. So yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't a fan of Gee. And I think there's still a little bit more the offense can do to get. It's going to sound ridiculous based on how the second half of Saturday went, but more that they I think can do to get Emmy involved because he's been dropping back really, really deep, to be able to get on the ball most of the time, and it works. We've talked about it time over the years about how he's able to come back, collect the ball, get fouled, and relieve the pressure for the guys.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind if he's a little more. Gets a little more better service further up the field.
I think that's just who he naturally is. Like I think that's just how Emmy plays. Like he has to feel like he's involved in almost like the buildup of it. But it's not as bad as it was in terms of like last year. Like last year, this team was methodically slow getting the ball up the field, and we weren't creating chances. So far this year, in every game, win or loss, we haven't drawn a game yet, but win or loss, we have had more shots on target than every team. And that in itself, like, that lets me know, like, really two things. One, the system that Darren is implementing is working. They still got to iron out a lot of stuff. I think we have hinted at that. But also, it's like the style of play has gotten quicker, and this team, the second point to this team has found a formula that works. Darren and the staff has found a formula that works for the players that they have available to them, and they're not trying to force something onto them like they were last year.
I guess it works sometimes. We're 2-2.
I mean, yes, we're 2-2 just because of my fault, just because of chances not being finished. Like, how can I explain this? Okay, so like the Kickers, from what I've seen, the Kickers are trying to recreate that Man City-esque goal. We all know what the Man City goal is: get it to the foul line, cut it back across goal, have someone near the top of the 18 or top of the 6-yard box, slam in the back. They get there, they just don't have anyone to finish it. When they do have someone to finish it, you get chances like Emmy, or you get like Chandler and Tormenta. The reverse side of it, when you don't have anyone finish it, you get what happened against Virginia Dream and Charlotte. You get missed chances or chances that go straight to the goalkeeper. They get saved. So yeah, I hear you on that point, but to me, it's just a lot more enjoyable to watch than what was walking last year when they were trying to walk it down to the 18-yard box.
That's not a high bar.
Yeah.
I also think the players seem more willing to shoot this. I think they're like, there was such a lack of confidence, and I hate like pinning it on that, but like outside of Chandler and like for the first half of the season, Bill Hart, like everyone was out of form. No one was scoring goals. And Chandler also, we've even in 2 matches seen him willing to take lower probability shots than he did last season. So there's also seems to be a willingness to just have one. Like how, Wayne Gretzky had it right. You miss 100% of shots you never take. And they actually seem willing. More players from more positions on the field seem willing to actually take a shot. And sometimes it ends up, going in perfectly, like Chandler nailing the corner against Tormenta. And sometimes it's a goal like Hayden Anderson, where you just take the shot and you get a wicked deflection and it goes in anyway. So you don't exactly, like, you don't have to walk it in every time. Sometimes you need players just with the confidence and the willingness to take a shot, a lower probability shot, because something good might come of it.
Yeah, and I think it's also more so like a risk benefit to it. Like, they're willing to take that risk of taking that early shot because knowing, like, all right, we have more people in the box versus last year. You didn't have many people in the box. So what's the point of us taking a shot from outside of it? We know, like, all right, the goalkeeper's just going to save it. You know,
They also would pass it, like it would start on one wing and it would cross the entire field around the 18-yard box to the other wing.
the
because
horseshoe of doom.
Yeah. It would
That's
like
what it
go
was.
around the entire 18 because no one actually wanted to have a shot. They would just keep passing it to someone else, hoping someone else would actually take it.
Nah, I mean, and now look at how you see it now. Like with Matt Baldock, like I remember so much so. Like this is I don't think anyone's shouting him out, but Maxey, he has been a bright spot this year. Like I don't know what that man is doing to stay as energized as he is. I don't know if he just wakes up and just drink pure caffeine, but he has been like an energizer buddy out there. Like, and there was one point in the game I remember where he drifts inside and he just cuts ball. Like it cuts like 4 or 5 AV Alta players, and it lands on Matt Foot. And you can tell from that moment that it's like as soon as it got to Matt, like you had some players rush into the box, and it was just very quick. It was very like quicker to get up there and create chances. But since we already were talking about it, AV Alta got a good win there. I think one of the bright spots coming out of that game was, scoring 3 goals. We saw Emmy's chip. Shanair, to your point, so me and Matt were talking about it in the second half about James. So James has like a slight tick. And from now on, if you watch any of these goal kicks, which by the way, James has a YouTube page. So you can go watch it on his YouTube page. But for any goal kick or anytime he's about to touch the ball, he does like this. He does like a slight touch so he can roll the ball out. And I think he does it so the ball has like a little bit of momentum so he can run onto it and punt it harder. Like he's not like a goalkeeper who would just stand there and just punt it and just generate power. Like he's the kind that has to kind of run up to it. And I think that's what happened in the AV Alta goal. Yes, Shanair, to your point, I think that's true. Like the center backs didn't give him the best options, but I think as soon as James touches it, he realizes this ball has gotten too far away from me, and he tries to get back to it, but he slips. Because the other goal kicks he was doing, like I was like, okay, let me just make sure this wasn't like a one-time thing. And he kept doing it like every goal kick or every time that ball would come back to him, he would do the same thing. Like he'll take a little slight touch, play it. Take a little slight touch, play it. So I don't know if that's just like it's a tick. I don't know if that's something like he's going to keep doing it when he's like 23, 24, 25, Or is that something he's just doing now?
Yeah, that seems like it's something that he probably needs to kind of take out of his game, or at least make it to the point where he can still deliver without having to do that. But the thing is, with that, him doing that is an indication that he thinks he has to go long. He's pushing that ball out to give it a good strike to go long. If your center backs rush back into that position, your first touch isn't going to think, I have to go long, because you're going to be like, I have these options here in case I get pressed. Let me hold on to the ball and see what's available. If there's pressure, I can even give it to Chella, either give it to Chella or Garnett, because they're right there in the safe position for me. Because at this point, who's the guy who scored it for them? Cerritos. He's the only one pressing. The rest of the team are a lot further back, so it's not like someone else is running in deep to cover the passes to Chella or to Garnett. He still should have both of those passes, but he doesn't, because they don't get back in that position quick enough in order to give him that support. I would say, to be honest with you, he needs to develop the ability to hit it first time. He needs to develop that ability to hit it first time if he has to, or to stop the ball and hit it a good distance without having to push the ball out in front of him. That just takes repetition and training. But he's young enough that that can be instilled into his game.
Yeah. And so this is the other thing. AV Alta only had 2 shots at goal. Both of them came in the first half. It was that one, Alex Cerritos' goal in the 8th minute, and then it was another one. I think I went maybe the 20th, 30th minute. I forgot when. But this is the one where Sneddon got down low, made a good save on it. Outside of that, Richmond did a really good job of stifling AV Alta, because it seemed like AV Alta had a hard time, like A, controlling the ball, and B, like trying to build out. Like they were trying to build out from the back, and it seemed like Richmond was just like, okay, you want to do that? That's fine. We're just going to set trash for you over the field. So anytime you play it in the midfield or play the ball long, we're just going to have Deck and Chandler eat it up, pop it back out to Maxey, and then let Maxey just run wherever he wants to and dictate play that way. And it just seemed like that kept happening over and over and over again. And also, like, this is kind of like the inverse of what happened on Wednesday night, because it was a very uncharacteristic game for the Kickers on Wednesday night. The Kickers just got straight up bodied. Like, they got physically dominated. And I've talked about it. I've said it. Being sour grapes, like the refs. Like, the ref wasn't calling anything. Like, even so much so, like, go look at the second goal that Virginia Dream scored where Chandler gets shoved in the back. Like, if assuming you have VAR, that might go get called back. But that's besides the point. Like, they just got physically dominated. They got shoved around, pushed around, and they didn't respond to it. The reverse of this game, that happened. Richmond responded, and you saw the changes of it. There was I'm wondering if any of y'all saw this, but also in the first half, like, this team is going to be fun on set pieces, because there was one set piece where I think it's Darwin. I can't remember who the other player was, but Darwin laid it low.
There's Niels.
It was Niels. If that would have came off, I probably would have lost my mind in the press box, which I'm trying not to this year. I'm trying to be respectful of the press box area. You know, my quarantine box for the first half of games.
Okay. Be respectful of who? Time's back there? No. Is anybody else there?
No, it's just me.
Right.
But yeah, like, this team is going to be fun on set pieces. And also, like, Maxey is now doing set pieces as well. He has 2 assists off of set pieces. So we're back to what we know we're really good at in set pieces, and that's Chandler O'Dwyer dunking over someone. And it wasn't even like Chandler just taller than him, because I think him and the AV Alta center back are the same height. No, Chandler just dunked on him, like, just full blown. That's a good way how to end the half.
Yeah. What did Com say? Who it had to be? Who else but Chandler O'Dwyer? And as I've been saying, even a single year ago, I can't imagine a person on planet Earth would have put those words in.
You, Kate. You are the person.
No, not even me. Not even me.
Like,
I swear.
Kate, I've been telling you this for a year now. You just need to put Chandler on your taxes. Just claim him. That is your son. Like, if anyone was to ask me, was like, who are Chandler's parents? Kate. That's his mom. Kate.
I saw something in him nobody else did.
Like, that's my son. Like, every time Chandler score, you should just ask for a percentage of his check. Anytime there is
listen, I don't need $5. I don't need $5.
Doesn't matter. It just needs to go to you. Anytime there is a goal or an assist, anytime this man is in team of the week, there is a highlight. You deserve his NIL package. All right.
If Kate doesn't want the money, I will happily take it. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll just put it towards this. We'll put it towards this podcast.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, shoot. By the way, if you want to help donate to this podcast, you can go to our website or Ko-Fi and greatly donate. So far, we have had a few people donate, and I'm totally grateful for it, because you're paying for the production of this podcast. So just putting that out there.
Yeah.
We do have an unfortunate moment. I think this might be a little moment of conversation. We won't dive too long into it. But Emmy unfortunately missed another penalty in this game. I looked at it again up in the press box. I thought that he missed it like low to the corner and put it at goalkeeper's height. No, it wasn't even close to the corner. It was very much at goalkeeper's height. Talking to Darren in the post-game interview and even hearing it from Emmy, like, you could tell it weighed a lot on him. Do you think, and I have no reason, I haven't heard anything about this, so this is 100% speculation, but do you think there is going to be, if there's another PK, do you think we see another person step up, or do you think it will go to Emmy?
I think you got to switch it off after 2, right?
Okay.
First one could be a fluke. In reality, there's actually 3 in a row, because there's that Jaeger one last year.
Yeah.
So I think like everybody, unfortunately, including Alvarez, knew that there's no way he was going to go high with that shot again.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just didn't get enough on it. But yeah, maybe in a Jaeger shootout or something, you get him back in the rotation there. But there's other guys. We saw some like Chandler, Simon, Dak, rip some really nice penalties in the various shootouts we were in last year. Darwin's probably good at them, I'm guessing, because if he was winning, like golden boots and stuff in Nisa, he probably had to have a few in there somewhere along the way.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, time to rotate it around. Like, it's not always the number one scorer that takes the penalties. This person who's best at penalties takes the penalties.
All right, Kate, Janir, y'all on the same path of switching it out? Okay. Yeah. So since everyone's on that same path, I'll just go into the second part of the question. Who are you having taking the 10 then? Matt Stroke and Sharks, Matt don't care. Matt just like put an available body out there.
Kate's son.
I mean, I already
put O'Dwyer on. He's on fire. I mean, at this point right now, he's on fire. He's been consistent. Chandler has been consistent. Give him a shot at it.
Chandler, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I said this a lot last season that honestly, like as useless as most of those Jaeger Cup matches were, those shootouts that the team was on, like participated in, we didn't lose one after the Loudon one. Of course, we had to lose the only one that really mattered, but you can't simulate the pressure of taking a penalty in a match that matters. And we got like 4 or 5 chances to simulate that pressure. And I think Bashua was the only player who missed outside of Emmy.
Honestly, that's also the last time we saw that man play significant minutes that season.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could honestly, like at a certain point, we've had the opportunity to see more of our players take penalties than most teams could ever dream of. And almost all of them were ice cold. So I think what happened last season, as much as we clowned on the Jaeger Cup and how silly it was that these meaningless matches were ending in a draw and we'd all have to troop over to a goal to watch a shootout, we got to see a lot more players under those conditions than most teams could really imagine. And a lot of the players were very good at it. So, I mean, I think, it's silly to say maybe we don't even need a designated penalty taker, but the Jaeger Cup is back. We're going to have players, I imagine, a lot of players taking a lot of penalties over the course of the season. If we're lucky, I didn't mind that at all. Because again, you can't simulate those conditions in practice. So I really think you could honestly slot a lot of players into that role. I wouldn't be picky at all because we saw 8 or 9 players take ice cold penalties multiple times last season. So continuing to stick with basically the one player who missed multiple penalties over the last 4 seasons. I know he's Emiliano Terzaghi, but at this point he's making a case for being the worst taker in the team.
That's wild.
The other thing, just to throw very massive stereotypes out there, we got 2 Germans on the team.
Let's go. Let's go.
I will say this. I am massively disappointed in all of you because there is one person who needs to take penalties who I think should. What is the one thing you need with penalties? Penalties are like free throws. At the end of a game, you need someone who is ice cold, a little bit crazy, also a little bit cuckoo in the head. Who meets all that criteria? Dak.
Oh, I thought you were getting ready to say Maxey.
I thought you were going to say James.
Maxey is a close 2. He is a close 2. It's Dak. Dak already showed you he can score. Yeah, Dak already showed you he can make a PK. Dak is ice cold in the veins. Dak also looks unbothered if he misses a pin. It doesn't look like he would get in his head. Because he probably will go out there after the pin is missed and slide tackle somebody into oblivion afterwards. But yes, it's Dak. So that's it. That's what's going there. But half ended 1-1. We go into the second half, and this is where everything just gets better. So Emmy, and this just to throw this out there for you. Emmy last year, if Emmy was an NFL kicker, he would have had an average NFL field goal attempt, which is 58 yards, which he scored against Avalos. That's the average for the NFL now. It's 58, which is wild. But yeah, he chipped Avalos from almost the halfway line, which was 58 yards. It was also funny because if you go watch the clip, there are multiple times where he is telling Darwin, move, move, move. He's shoving him. He's like, move, move.
Yeah, you're not in Nice anymore, Darwin. Step aside.
Yeah, this is volleyball, son. This is where the big dogs play. And
but you know,
the clip just gets more hilarious the more times you watch it because there are different things in that you see. Like AV Alta, I don't know what they were doing in build up. Like they had no idea what they were doing. And the guy being Matt designated as you guys seen Tad Lasso? The Mexican player with the long hair. He got shoved off the ball. There was also a part of the game where he goes to go settle the ball and he just flicks his hair mid like stride. One of the most random things ever. But he loses the ball. And you can see Darwin pick it up. And I think Darwin is like, okay, I'm going to just try to just ride this out. We get ahead and set possession. And Amy's like, nah, F that, son. I'm taking this. It just loops him. And the thing is about this ball, and watching it in the stands with Matt, I don't know if I said this to you, Matt, or not. But that ball started off going fast. And then some way halfway through it, it just started to die out. And I was like, oh, he's not going to make this. Like, the goalkeeper's going to catch this. And it just slowly goes into the back of the net.
I just assumed it was going to go wide the whole time and then kept going. And then it goes in. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And full blows. I swear, I just saw limbs going off in Section O. So much so, I banged my calf and called a Charlie horse while me and Matt are celebrating. So my leg just like, it's just gone while this is happening. But yeah. Yeah. What was your thoughts on this chip goal? Because Emmy has tried this. I think he's tried this one more time earlier this season, might be. But yeah, we've seen this before for Emmy. Any surprises to it?
Look, Emmy's an experienced guy. You know, he's had a lot of goals in his career. Penalties just don't do it for him anymore. He needs something a little more exotic. He needs something a little more, kind of get the blood flowing for him. Yeah. This is the kind of stuff that really works for him now. Penalties are old hat. He's got a lot of those. Like, whatever.
This is the crazy thing.
This is a new thing.
Emmy missed a shot that had the XG of 1.00, but made a shot that had an XG of 0.1. I mean 0.001. Only Emmy.
I was saying that for the because the keeper, saved his pen. He kind of got him back in the only way that's the most embarrassing.
More embarrassing.
Keeper. Like as embarrassing.
Yeah.
Save my pen once, I'll get you back even worse. You'll wish I scored that penalty.
Look, guys have been making a living making Avalos look like a clown in this league for years now. Between Chattanooga and what was it, Fuego last year?
Yeah.
One of the places.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean that it was inevitable.
Yeah, it was. I'm just still weak. Like you go back and just watch the clip, it just gets funnier because you just see Darwin, like he just gets shoved out by Emmy, who is like twice Darwin's height. Is like move.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I thought about when I saw this goal happen, I think to myself, thank God we're not the old kickers, because how many I remember us having the complaint of our team doesn't shoot from outside the 18, and ever since I'd say probably a year or two ago, it's like we're getting more and more shots taken from opportunistic, the more like opportunistic shots. And this is just Emmy saw an opportunity and said, threw caution to the wind and said, Darwin, get out of the way. Okay, get out of the way. Because I think Darwin one thing I think this team has switched to is a not a counter-attacking team, but more of a fast build team. And I think Darwin is thinking, all right, I'm going to get the ball. Their line is high. Let me see if I can maybe cook somebody and move closer to goal. And he's like, forget all that. I'm going from here. And I love the fact that we have players that are looking for those opportunities, looking for those situations. And that was just absolutely beautiful.
Right. Shoot, baby. Shoot. So yeah, that put it at 2-1. And then the third goal, which this is where AV Alta just lost their complete everlasting mind. We talked about already. Josh Kirkley, he comes in, he makes a good cut inside. I think is Chandler at the top of the 18 box who takes this shot.
I think it was him.
Yeah. Alvarez makes a save on. Emmy's right there. AV Alta's manager and AV Alta's player, I forgot his name right now. Both get sent off.
Hassan.
Yeah, there we go. Both got sent off for arguing this because they thought that Emmy was offside, but they forgot that one of AV Alta's players was near the byline and he was holding Emmy onside, who tapped the ball into the back of the net. And I asked after the game, like, what happened? What I heard is that AV Alta's manager was outside of his touch line multiple times, and he got warned about that. But also, he stringed together an unholy amount of curse words and cuts out the line ref. Was led to him getting a straight red, which for a guy who wears a full-blown suit, a sweater, and a turtleneck in Richmond,
no wonder he got a little heated.
Yeah. I feel like my man just got the red because he was like, look, I got a dinner date at 9. We got to wrap this up. We already down 3-1. Let me just go and get on this bus.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy, too, because if you're not familiar with the Kleiben brothers, if you go on, I assume they're not on Blue Sky. If you go on to Elon's, site and just look up the account, number 3, word 4, number 3, they run that organization. Granted, it's mostly his brother that does the tweeting, but it's one. Think about all the toxic U.S. Soccer accounts that are out there. Mm-hmm. It's probably top 5.
Yeah,
all the worst people that you can think of. Love those guys, and they basically tank the careers of all these kids growing up because they like, oh, you have to go to Europe. You have to go to Europe. Like the Alta coach literally got fired from the Galaxy Academy because he was telling his Galaxy players, don't sign here, sign with my brother, and we'll get you a contract in Austria or some other, crap hole club in Europe. Guess what? Didn't really work out well for any of those guys. Nope. So,
no.
Stand up fellow.
No.
That's what we got there. But yeah, he got sent off, and then the AV Alta player got sent off. I'm assuming I think his was straight red as well. It was, yeah. I think it was arguing with the ref as well. And after that, AV Alta didn't really do much. Richmond were up a man, and this is the part that I loved because, Matt, I think one thing that we have talked about multiple times on this podcast in the past is that when Richmond were up a man, we somehow seem to suck. Prime 2 examples, 2022 Chattanooga, 2023 Union Omaha, when we were notoriously up 2 men, and somehow lost that game 4-1, which I still believe led to the slow death of 2023. And I still want to, I will write a book if I can find out what happened in that locker room that night. I am still trying to figure this out. But this team attacked. And while attacking, did not give AV Alta any chances. Like, none. Stepping on everything. Like, that in itself, I think, is a huge positive. Because even when the team was up and they didn't let up on the gas pedal, they were still looking at attack chances. Even someone showed Maxey before the game ended was ready to score his goal, which would have been nice. It would have been great to see Maxey get a goal. And even think about it. We have our left back in the opposing team 18-yard box taking a shot. Like if I would have said that to you last year, y'all would have looked at me and been like, Elliot, no, what are you smoking? Like that, no. And now look at this happening. Granted, we're up and man, but to see this team just still go, creating chances. This is not your mom and dad's kickers of old. All right. They go look. I will be fully transparent with you. This team gonna lose some. They're gonna lose some games. There'll be some head scratchers. You saw it Wednesday night. They're gonna lose some head scratchers. They also gonna win some, and that's the fun part. Enjoy the fun. Don't worry about the losses. We've been through that. 2019, 7 losses in a row without scoring a goal. This is the reason why we don't do pride raising. 2023, 12 games without a win. 2024, we couldn't keep a clean sheet. We've been through this. You were built for this.
So can't.
Yeah, you're right. So it'll be fine. Now 2 players I think that are drawing some. We were talking about it before the show started. 2 players that I think people are misunderstanding. They are doing good, but I think people are misunderstanding them. Or actually, the 2 new addition, Darwin and Niels. Who's why? By the way, I think like the kickers just need to put up a post and be like, "This is Niels. He is not Neil."
Right. This one has an S on it.
Yeah. He is German. He is Spanish. He plays in Spokane. He plays here. They are not the same.
Does he play in Spokane?
He is signed as Spokane. You are correct. They might be in the same position on the field. They are not the same. Do not look at Niels and yell at him and expect him to do what Neil did. They are not the same. They are not. Niels is what Ethan Bryant was to the team in 2022. He is the connector. He's not like Tormenta was the outlier. If I would be shocked if Niels gives us games where he has a goal and an assist. If that's the outlier. He's not that kind of guy. He is the guy who helps out with the press. He is the guy who gets the ball, kind of wiggles through traffic and lays the ball off to like Chandler or to Darwin or to Hayden or to Emmy. He's that guy. He's not a creator. He's the guy who gets the ball, connects it, and builds out everything else. That's where you're seeing the kickers having a lot easier time in transition and build that play because we have a guy who is a connector. We don't have a creative player in the team, and I think that's Bill Hart, which is another thing. Like, if I would have told you at the beginning of the season that Bill Hart has played a combined, 40 minutes in our first 4 games, how many wins do you think we would have had?
It's either going really well or really poorly.
Exactly. And we got 2 wins in the league. And Nils has played a combined 5 minutes. I mean, Bill Hart's played a combined like 5, maybe 10 minutes. I think the bulk of those minutes come in the U.S. Open Cup when Darren, who rightfully told us, like, we have a strong 11 to 12. After that is a huge drop-off. We saw that drop-off on Wednesday. He tried to suffer more and try to salvage what happened on Wednesday. You saw it. The other player, Darwin Espinal. He's another one. I feel like the kickers need to do it. Put a picture of Darwin, put a picture of Jonathan Bolaños, and then just put like a huge question mark, 2023, 2024, left wingers, and be like, Jonathan's here. This is Darwin. We haven't had a left winger since Darwin. They're not the same. Don't look at Darwin and be like, I want you to do what Johnny did. You ain't getting that, son. That ain't happening. Relax. Darwin is like, I will say this. He's still a very creative player. He can be frustrating at moments because there are moments where you're like, I want you to go just 1v1. And Darwin likes to, and I think I think you're the one who said this, where he likes to like cut inside. Like, he's a very more inside forward. He doesn't like being out of the wing. Yeah, he's not like a boots on the line kind of winger. That's not his game. He wants to be more inside. Even so much so, I think like in the first half, on top of the 18 box, there was a moment where he like nutmegged the guy. He took a shot. The shot didn't come off, But like that's the kind of player he is. He's a very much inside player. He likes being in little inside spaces. He doesn't like being out on the island by himself, and that's why you have Maxi on that side, who does a lot more of the overlapping and inside lapping and kind of playing off of Darwin. Those are those two players. I think it's fine. I think the more you see these guys, the more players people are going to appreciate them. It's just that we haven't. It also shows you how famine the Richmond Kickers fan base has been for a left winger, because we haven't seen anyone that's been very productive on that side in almost a year and a half, and we're like, "Ooh, you scored and you had 2 assists. Do more of that." So yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, no, I agree with you with Darwin. Darwin, like you said, Bolaños was an out and out wing playmaker, a wide playmaker. Johnny B was definitely an out and out wide playmaker, and Darwin is an inverted winger. He wants to come down that side and cut inside onto his right foot, either combine or take a shot. And that's 2 completely different types of players.
Yeah.
Does it provide us with some ammunition down that right side the same way Bolaños did? Yes, but in a different way. So for those that are like, oh, I want him to do what Johnny does. No, he's going to do what he does, and it's still going to provide us with some choices on the left side. And still be happy. Please be happy.
Yeah. Like Darren, also, like Darren told us, I'm laughing about this because I've done posting interviews now, I think for like 5 or 6 years or whatever. And this is probably the most honest I've heard Darren. That man straight up told we got 11 to 12 starters. After that, it's drop off. And I was like, he knows. Like he is admitting it. Like Darren, this is also the same man last year that was like, we had possession. It doesn't matter if we won or lost. We won the possession battle. And now we got this Darren. I was like, Darren just being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think to a certain extent, Darren this year, this is the year for him to show us, okay. So we had that great year where we had Johnny B, we had Ethan Bryant, we had Neil, Emmy, everyone was firing on all cylinders. And then a lot of those players we lost, especially the key ones. Especially, I'm looking at Ethan and Johnny. We lost those 2, and then there had to be a complete rebuild. This is the culmination of that rebuild. So I think Darren is feeling the pressure that, all right, we gave you a pass for 2 years after we lost those 2 key players. Now it's time to step it up. And I think he's so far pushing towards that step up. And I think that's why you're seeing a more aggressive, a more honest, a more brutally honest Darren.
Yeah. Matt, what were you about to say?
I was going to say that kind of brutal irony in all this after the last couple of years is I feel like all of our best depth is on the wings, because you think about it, we've had Darwin and pick somebody on the right wing side. We've had Boldig out there, we've had Anderson out there, we've had Kirkland out there. Like that's 4 guys already. You haven't really kind of Bill Hart yet as a guy who's shown up on the wing at times in the past. Like last couple of years, we were desperate to find anybody who's usable on the wing, right? And now we've got some decent options there. Not a whole lot else anywhere else on the field that you feel too good about. Right now, like James in the midfield, maybe the only other one that you feel okay coming into the team at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's where.
Also, shout out to James because really well hit goal in that game that didn't happen.
We didn't talk about his goal.
Yeah, that was a beautiful strike.
That was
very beautiful strike.
In all honesty, maybe the Kickers are like 14 deep. 14 deep, and then after that is you start hoping and praying. But we move off of that.
I mean, I think you can put Kirkland in there in that even
I was
though
down
he
with
may
Kirkland.
not be.
Yeah, I was down with Kirkland.
Yeah, he may
I was
not be.
down with him.
He may not be at the technical level as of all of these other guys, but Kirkland is one of those guys.
No,
that
he like Maddie. He's
put
straight
him
dog.
on to be a- we put him
He's
on to
straight
be a
dog.
nuisance. Yep, exactly.
He on
You
dog
just-
team. That's what he is. Remember how like Luke and Matt was? Matt is all dog.
Yes.
Luke is all dog. Kirk is all dog. Kirk might not score a goal this year, but I guarantee he gonna lead the team in hustle.
Yeah.
He gonna lead the team in hustle.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, but Matt on the
But
team,
I think he's got a goal or two in him. He's got a goal or two in him, and he definitely almost scored one that first game. So he's got what it takes to be in that number.
Yeah. So we move on from that point. We go ahead. We look ahead to the this is Derby week coming up now. Fort Madison coming up on the weekend. That pink team from up north. I'm just gonna put it out there now. If you see me with sunshades on, don't talk to me like I'm recording this game. I'm not a regular person this game. I will be with a red cup in my hand. I will be having a good time. Don't ask me no questions about the podcast. You won't get a post game show either. So just put that out there. Also the thing is about this game is that the Kickers will have a long break before we play Union Omaha on April the 9th. So I think US Open Cup come up. If we were in the cup, we would have been playing next week, or not my fault, the week after next. Without that being said, the Kickers get a good break after this. So Fort Madison, the last run of this. I'm not going to ask you guys for a prediction, but I'm going to ask this from each of you. What is a thing the Kickers need to do to come out victorious in this first edition of the Henny Derby? Kate, I'll start with
you. First of all, can they not have the second? Can they not set us up to have Madison score a significant goal in front of Red Army again, like they did last season?
Hey, really but remember they did, and it added like 5 minutes of extra time that led to Chandler scoring.
Yes.
If you haven't seen the video I put on Instagram, that is the audio from that.
And we do appreciate them. Yeah, this is a difficult one because also Madison has only played once.
Twice. Well, if you count the Open Cup, they played twice. But they haven't played since then.
Yeah. So a lot of teams who are traditionally good have not had, Omaha's played once, they've also lost. Madison's played once, they've also lost. Spokane has not starting as sharply as we expected. So there isn't a lot to go off of to know how Madison will be looking. And the two teams that Kickers have played so far in the league are also not particularly strong teams as well. So all I can say is as of now, more of the same, but yes, there was rotation against Virginia Dream and it didn't work. It was not much rotation. And that did not go well. So I'm a little at a loss because it's so early in the season. The Kickers have looked good, but they've looked good against teams who have looked very bad. And the teams that are traditionally good, we haven't gotten a very good look at them. So I think this is going to be a big one for mentality and physicality because that's where Virginia Dream out-hustled us. Those were the quote-unquote intangibles. So, yeah, I need them coming with the mentality that anything other than a win is unacceptable, and that they can't be the nice guys at home because and they can't be the nice guys both in terms of committing fouls and earning them. I want to see them, if need be, diving, go full Emmy, earn as many scrappy fouls as you can because I'm also tired of seeing them bullied and not actually earning the fouls. So that's my unsophisticated, non-tactical analysis of what I'm hoping to see from the Kickers.
I love it. Shanair, what about you, my good man?
That's a big one. This is a big one for me because my last evening at City Stadium was the Henny Derby last year.
Yeah, you went out on that banger.
Oh, tell me about it. I think I will be telling my grandchildren about this game. Um, I want I as much as that evening will always live in my memory as one of the most wonderful games I ever attended. Um, I don't want any of that this Saturday. I want no mercy. I want goals. You've already shown us that you can score goals. We scored 7 goals so far in 3 games. I'd like to see us score more. We have the ability to take this team. We have the ability to take them to the cleaners if we set our minds to it. Their squad is not that heavy when you look at the players they have and the pedigree of the players they have. We have the ability. We have players with a pedigree that can go against the forward Madison team and really roll them over. We've just got to come ready to play. Let us make the game that we lost, the first home game. Um, let's make that the last time we let in 2 goals at City Stadium. I really want to see a Kickers team that is making City Stadium a fortress in the league. And let's start with Ford Madison. Let's put them to the sword.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Matt, what about you, sir?
Just don't be yourself. This team goes away some sloppy shit sometimes already this year, and we got away with it, on Saturday, because that goal should never ever happen. Like we like James, you get 1 mulligan there. You don't get a second.
Now that was Pablo. I would have burned down the whole stadium. Would have been a bunch of different podcasts.
Yeah,
I like James.
That was the other game. That was
yeah.
Between that, the silly penalties, that we've been seeing stuff like if they're going to get a result off us, make them actually earn it rather than hand it to them on a silver platter.
Yeah, honestly, that's true. I'm in agreement with you there. Like, I don't want to see them earn it. I want Kickers to put them to the sword. I don't want to hand over this any Derby trophy. I do believe this team has, and they have players in it that knows about the Derby, they know about like how intense this can be, and it always is like, just don't be slow, like don't be caught off guard, don't be sloppy. Like if they played how they played in the second half, this is going to go well for the Kickers. Now, if they came out like how they did against Charlotte, then we're going to be in some trouble, where it takes a while and whatnot to get into it. But as long as the Kickers remember to wear red at home, we shouldn't have these issues. I think that solves everything, right? Right.
We've only been saying that for how long?
Yeah, for a while. Wearing red at home is a recipe for success.
Yeah.
It is.
Look what happened yesterday.
You win a couple of games. Who knows? But yeah, the tailgate is going to be a great time. This is having the tailgate I'm really looking for. The tailgate I'm really waiting for is when on October 25th, because that's Virginia State's University's homecoming, and also the last Henny Derby of the season, which is the regular season finale, and that's going to be a lot of fun. But this one's going to be fun as well. Once again, if you see me, you did not see me. Okay? Let's just make that clear now. So, I don't my name is Nat Elliott. You don't know me. I don't know you. I'm just a black man at a soccer game with a red Solo cup that has a brown liquid in his cup. That is it. Any last names from UK before we wrap up? You're not gonna.
Yeah. More happy podcasts.
More happy podcasts. There you go. There you go. Happy podcast. That's the way. Also, shout out to the 2 people that we just had join the team. Conductor Maine, he been taking photography for us, And also Alan, he is joining Kate on the Vodcast out there. So it will be a better produced product on Vodcast. I love Vodcast. Matt loves Vodcast. But I need to be able to sit in the stands and just relax. And Kate, she has done an amazing job with that. We can't wait to have Alan on the show. Yeah. Shanir, anything from you before we wrap up?
Fill up the stadium. Fill up the stadium. Let's make
Hey, they
these
did.
boys
They had
in pink.
5.5. They had 5,000 there, which I think if you take the attendance from Spokane and Texoma, add them together, I think they barely fill up how many people was at City Stadium. So that's impressive. That's very impressive.
I want more next week. I want more kickers.
You want 6?
At that.
Yeah.
Look, I want 6.
You think
I
we can get 6?
I want every area of that stadium filled up. Every area that people are allowed to sit at filled up. That area behind the sectional side goal, buy your expensive tickets and fill that up. I want the whole stadium filled up. I want the Red Army to be loud, so loud I can't hear the commentators. I want the library to be loud for the first time. I want a loud, ruckus City Stadium. I want these Madison boys.
I ain't gonna lie though.
That's what
watching City Stadium from the press box. I was like, Section O was packed. Like in the first half, it was like I don't know if y'all looked around. It was packed. It was pretty dope. Matt, you might know this. What is the attendance record at City Stadium for a Kickers game? Have we ever hit 7?
Oh yeah, easily.
Okay.
It's like the opening game.
Palace game was packed. Those years back.
First game like 2017 or something like that was Harrisburg. They filled it was like 8,000 something. We had double headers in the past with like national team where it's into 5 digits. So like there are actually people on the big side in that game.
Okay. So maybe we can hit 6 would be nice.
Look, Shanir wants longer lines at all the food trucks.
He does. I remember a point in City Stadium history where you could
get Madison Ivy to go down.
I remember there was a time in City Stadium history where you could leave at halftime, go get food and a beer, and be back before the start of the second half. You try that now, you are missing the complete second half.
Yeah.
You might as well swap out the stadium and be like, all right, kids, we'll go home. Because you ain't going back to DC.
On a related note,
you got to tell you.
If you're listening to this podcast, don't try coming into the game 10 minutes before the game. Leave the tailgate half an hour before so you can get in and actually be in the stands at the start of the game.
Oh, yeah.
It is a long con on behalf of the Richmond Kickers front office to target those fans who hang out and tailgate and stick us in a long, long, long line that we don't deserve to stand in. Right. And the only thanks we get is telling us to come into the stadium and drink more beers.
Right. And also, don't wait till the last minute to ask for a ticket you ain't paid for yet. Like, ask for that ticket ahead of time.
Or buy the ticket.
Yeah. Just buy the ticket. Don't ask like 30 minutes before half. So, anyone got a free ticket? Bro, what we doing here? You just showed up with no player? Absolutely not. Matt, anything for you before we wrap up, my good man?
I feel like we just went over the big thing, like getting the stadium on time. Like, I gotta imagine it can make a difference if we're ready to go from the start.
Yeah, true. I believe that as well. So that all that being said, listeners, as always, we just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day for listening to our podcast, because without you, we wouldn't do this, and we wouldn't want to do this without you. So with that being said, if you would like to donate to our podcast, help with production costs, help with the website costs, all that great stuff, like I said, we're adding on to the Ivy doing more, all because of your donations. If you would like to help out, you can go to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com. Rivercity 93, or you can go to our website, Rivercity 93, and donate there as well. You can donate as much as $1 a month, all the way up to I think it's $5 a month, or you can just make a one-time donation as well. You can do that as well. So, Also, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. For Kate, for Shanair, for Matt, and myself, as always, we love Happy Podcasts, and we love y'all as well. Remember, be nice to someone this week, and it's Derby week. So we'll see you there on Saturday where, I have a red solo cup in my hand and beating everybody in Uno or in spades or in both. Who knows? We'll see you guys next week. Be easy and be safe. All right, that.